Alright, good morning everybody. Welcome to another Living Freestyle game dev live stream. My name's Kevin. We do this twice a week. This works like a Q&A, AMA, hop in, ask questions about Unreal Engine, game dev, etc. And hopefully we can stumble through some of those answers together. I am fortunate enough to work in game dev professionally, so I get to do this every day. I currently work at R&D. I currently work in R&D at Riot Games. And I get to do a lot of cool stuff at work, but there's a lot of cool stuff I don't get to do, as I always say, and so this is a chance for me to hopefully get exposed to a lot of other cool things within the engine and game dev and all that stuff. Now, I definitely don't know everything, which is why I always say stumble through it. In the absence of questions, which is very often, we basically are streaming, I'll just live stream me working towards my own working prototype of my own game. To kind of fill that time, but the questions would take priority, so feel free to hop in and ask those. And as always, I am a total professional at this, so let's make sure that I can do some smart things like actually stream the screen, and hopefully our camera holds up this time and everything like that. So I looked back through, I didn't see any questions from last time, so we're just gonna switch straight back into Unreal. If we remember where we left off, actually we were starting to get to the point where we wanted to be able to kind of run our first long level and start to figure out some of the problems that would be associated with that. So we have this really long map, really long, I mean, and very repetitive, but that's okay. The thing about it is, as we started dropping in our spawners, we found all kinds of problems with our AI and their ability to be smart and etc. So what we did is we updated our spawners with a bunch of work, and now we're at a point where when we play, the spawners actually will only spawn as we get closer. So we're not inadvertently spawning an entire 5 minutes worth of enemies right from the get-go. So let's get up here to this first wave. And I believe if we eject, we should see our first set. Now, they are currently taking up positions around this subjective actor. Now, this subjective actor can be anything we want it to be. It's basically anything that has a tag, the objective tag. And they will stay here until I show myself. Now, we need to check to see what happens with their rubber banding. So they're gonna come at me, and then they're gonna go there, and then go there, and let's see if oh man, that dude. Okay, so if I pull away, so this is gonna be a problem, I think. If I pull away, they're gonna pull away too. And the problem with that is they're going a long ways away from their original position. Wow, how does that guy know I'm there? Which is not good, because unfortunately what we want them to do is we want them to hang out near their objective. If I go too far, I don't want them running too far. We have nothing in our logic that supports that. So let's just duck down for a second and bring them here. Actually, we don't even need to duck down. Where'd they go? Here they are. Okay. So where are the others? Hold on. Okay, good. Our controller works again. Our controller had stopped working. This will make this easier. Okay. 3 of them. Where's the other 2? So our other character is stuck behind this wall. Come on, dude. Get over here. Okay. Follow me, everybody. So what I'm going to try to do is I want to test one more thing. if we get them to be where they're supposed to be. If I can lose them. Will they go back to, they should go back to surrounding the objective. The trick is I gotta be able to lose them. So to do that, let's see. Oh, that guy saw me. Okay. No, they're still detecting me. I don't know what it is. They're supposed to be using line of sight. So we've got a couple things to take a look at there. All right, it's not working. It's our usual first time run bug. So let's take a look at their behavior trees and see what's going on. All right, so this is our fight. We reset our claims. We set our focus. Oh, I wonder if we're never resetting our target enemy. Let me see here. Find cover position for attack. This is actually going to be, I believe this is actually going to be in our base tree. Let's bring up the chat here. Okay. So in our base tree, we're using this detect enemy. This detect enemy in the past. Oh, look at that. We're not updating the BB entry on fail, which we do want to do. Okay, let's try that. And actually, let's see if we can make this a little easier to test really quickly. Let's get a couple of these walls. We'll move them to this side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our objective and that first spawner and move it closer so we don't have to run the whole map to. Let's put them. Let's put it here. And the spawn point just behind it. Okay, cool. So now, first things first. Okay, we're not close enough yet. So this is our gauntlet. This is gonna help us lose them. So they've spawned and they've taken up their positions. All right, so let's go trigger them. Hi guys, and then I'm gonna run away. Now the way that a runaway mechanism works is they will try to chase to the last time they saw me. So I'm just gonna do zigzag back here so they can't find me. And then, oh look, they already gave up. Oh, okay, that's the, okay, so new problem. Okay, so it does work, but it works too well. Let me show you what's happened. So this dude, they saw me, okay? They're running at me. The minute they can't see me, they're already going back. And the reason for that is, this is why I unchecked that box. This update BB on fail is basically wiping our target enemy. So we no longer have a target enemy instantly, right away. The minute that they can no longer detect me, which is not quite what we want. We actually want them, there used to be a thing in one of our blueprints which would reset target enemy. Let's see if we can find that. Alert allies, loadout check. Find cover position for attack. This is our EQS, form up, set cover, find a random attack location. Interesting. we open up this guy. Whoa, that's way too big. What's going on here? There we go. Stream looks like it's going through all right. Yep. Okay, so this is what I want to do is there used to be something, so let's just search for target enemy. There used to be something somewhere that after 15 seconds or 10 seconds, it would reset that the target enemy was lost. I just need to refine that. Check line of sight. That's what it was. Let's just double check that that's where it was. Okay, so check line of sight comes in here and basically says if we have our blackboard, we look at our last scene time. All right, and then this is something we're gonna need to check. And then what we do is if the target enemy is valid, we're gonna set the target location, which is fine. We're getting the head. Then we're doing a line trace. That's so that we're actually using the character's head to look, which is fine. We do it to hit detect. If the hit is true, we update last scene time. Cool. And then we update the blackboard's last scene time. Cool. And then we set the last target enemy location, target line of sight. We also set, and we have a bunch of this stuff. Now, this is my guess. A lot of these things are no longer valid because this was all built before we were using the EQS system. So let's just see what happens here. Then we have our last scene time plus 15 is less than the current game time. So that's the thing that would reset that. Basically reset that. All right, so then if we're false, we're not gonna set our last scene time. Okay, cool. So all we need to do is this actually being used? Check line of sight, anywhere. Form up, alert allies, find weapons, set the AI state, not that I see. So I do not see check line of sight being used. Let's double check that another way. So we'll browse to it, right click, and check our reference viewer. It's being used in the enemy BT. What? It's in here? Oh, it is being used every 0.5 seconds. Okay. Let's debug this a different way. Let's take a look at our spawn point. Let's spawn one enemy to make this easy. And then let's do this. We'll keep this up just in case. We'll go ahead and we'll spawn. We'll run forward a bit. Got a sword. See if the enemies have spawned yet. Yep, enemy just spawned. And then if we do a breakpoint in here, we hit the breakpoint and the target enemy should be false. So this should just quit out. It does. Okay, but it's definitely coming in here. All right, so let's just move our breakpoint this time. We're gonna move it to the first time the target enemy is good. Okay, so here we go. Resume. All right, let's go get scene. Okay, so comes in, sets the target location, does a line trace. If it hits a hit, sets the last scene time, does all the things. It's doing all the things. All right. This is cool. And this should be false, so it should just kick out. Great. So this is what it's doing. I am going to disable all breakpoints. I wish there was a hotkey for that, because what we're gonna do here is we're gonna move over, come back. Okay, and then let's re-enable that breakpoint. Okay, we just hit this breakpoint. We're gonna line trace by channel. If we go through here, then we know it still thinks it can see me. It didn't, all right? So it's basically hitting the false step. So let's see if we get to this branch ever. So resume. Oh no, we definitely get to this branch. It's not that branch that we wanna know if we got to. We wanna know if we get to the stuff after the branch. So let's get rid of this. And then let's eject. Oh, it just hit it. Okay, so it just hit that value. So it's gonna clear that value. If we go back here, they are going back to monitor. Okay, that's interesting. How do I get rid of this? What is this? I don't know what this thing is. There's this. Yeah, we don't need our session front end. No, cancel. Do not kill this project. Interesting. I have no idea how to get rid of this debug thing. Tools. What happened to our debug tools? Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't know what I pressed to get that to show up, but it's not exciting. No debug data Unreal. Oh. There we go. Wait. Where is this? Skip custom control. Where is this thing? Here it is. Nope, that's not what I want. What in the world? Skip stop custom control. Wait. Dude, I didn't even do anything. Oh, okay. Whatever. The big point though there is what happened was check line of sight. I'm gonna change the way we're debugging this real quick. Let's change this. So we're going to say, I'm gonna put a print in here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna print right here. And this is gonna be sight. I'm gonna make it green so it's obvious that we have sight. Okay, and then what we'll do is over here, we'll take out this breakpoint. We'll do another print. No sight. All right. And then that will tell us that that's the 15 seconds and that is going to get reset. So let's give that a shot. Okay, so they got sight. 15 seconds. This person should have gone, oh yeah, she's doing it. She should have gone to my last location. No sight, perfect. And then she should go back to patrolling, or not patrolling, just hanging out there. Okay, that's working. I don't know why it wasn't working with 5 of them. Excuse me. Okay, so if that's the case, then let's up the ante, if you will, and let's go for 2. Same thing. Okay, they're shooting, they're going for cover. They have sight. So they should go back, at this point they should go to where they last saw me. Or a place where they could last see me, which is kind of right there, and then no sight, they're going back to take their positions around this. All right, that's still working. All right, so the last time they saw me should be around that pillar, as long as I'm sneaky about this. So they'll come around, get to a point where they can see me. They'll check it. See, okay. Whoa, hold up. How did they get sight? That's a mistake. There's no way that dude had sight. Well, he gets sight when he walks around them, but I wonder what it is that's prompting them to go. I wonder if it's because I'm melee, or they're melee. Maybe there's a error in the loop. So here's that, here's that. I'm gonna run as fast as I can. Yeah, something's going on. This character is finding me no matter what. KC Knight 100, how you doing? I forgot to link in. Sometimes we've had some problems with the Twitch streams. So let me get the link to the YouTube stream just in case, but hopefully it's coming through all right. Let's see here. But hopefully it's coming through all right. Let's see here. All right, there we go. Got our link. My screen is black, like as in my camera. Or the whole screen. There may be something going on with Twitch. Because we've had this issue before where everything was fine on YouTube but not on Twitch. Anyways, welcome, good morning. What are you working on? How's it going? All right, so these dudes are melee, and I'm wondering if they have, I'm wondering what they're doing to fight when they fight melee. Find random attack location. How does this work? It gets the equipped weapons attack range. I guess we can stop playing right now. It gets the equipped weapons attack range and gets the controller control pawn. Gets their own current attack location. So that's it. If they're sentry, which they're not, they're going to get an attack. Oh, okay, here's the problem. Oh, we found it. I think we found it. So, actor to position around. Okay, if it's an actor, we're gonna get ring positions. Okay, so here's the problem. Our melee attacks do not take into account whether or not they can see the enemy, which is kind of unfair. So they are always going to position around the actor. So how do we fix this? This is a good question. How do we fix this? I think what we need to do is we need to check to see if we have line of sight. Sure. I think that's it. Did you get that all right? I just looked on YouTube. It's definitely coming through on YouTube. I have not checked Twitch though. Let me see what Twitch looks like. But like I said, we've had problems in the past on Twitch where for some reason it looks like I'm trying to see if Twitch is actually working or not. Can't tell. It's hard to do it when you're on the same machine that you're broadcasting from. Hi Casey Knight. Things better on YouTube? Hopefully we can actually see a screen. We may have to ditch the Twitch streams, unfortunately. That's like 2 times in a row that we had problems with them. Anyways, welcome. How are you doing this morning? Okay, so here's the problem. What we need to do is we need to make it so that this actor to position around, they're just blindly getting the target enemy. But we should only do that if we have line of sight. If we don't have line of sight, I do know HTML, or at least I used to know HTML. If we don't have line of sight, then what we need to do is we need to actually get the last known enemy location instead. So what we're gonna do here is, let's take a look at has target line of sight. Okay, that's what we're looking for. So, depending on what this is, either way, one is the objective actor. You need some help on, I mean, this is a game dev live stream, but if it's something simple, maybe I can help, I don't know. Target enemy. Okay, so let's get a Blackboard entry. So from our Blackboard entry, let's get a value as a boolean. And what we're going to get is we're going to get not make. And the one that we want is has line of sight. Okay, now if we have line of sight, then we can use the target enemy. If we don't, so let's just put in a test here. If we don't, then what we want to use is we want to use our last seen location instead. Okay. Well, I mean, I used to do web development professionally, so I might know the answer. But if I can help super quick, that's great. But I don't know. Sometimes web dev can be just as involved as anything else. All right, so if that's true, we're gonna set that. And if it's false, what we're going to do is we're going to get the last seen enemy location from the blackboard. So from the blackboard, we're gonna get a value as a vector. Value as vector. Oh, interesting. We're kind of doing this wrong. Get actor to position around is here. Interesting. Hold on a second. This may not work because of the way we built this blueprint. So the way we built this blueprint is we built it in a way where we're basically expecting an actor. But this is our move to location. Move to location. If the cast failed, it uses random reachable point and it sets the move to location. Interesting. That's not gonna work. Okay, that sounds good. Where are you stuck? Casey Knight's asking, Casey Knight's testing the limits of my knowledge here and asking if, basically how to do a lost and found database, but where are you specifically stuck? Okay, so we set our move to location here. Otherwise, we're setting our move to location up here. Okay, maybe what we want to do, okay, this might work. If that's false, then we need to set our move to location to be the random reachable point in radius around the last seen actor. Okay, so if that's the case, we're making a string literal, and the one that we're going to use is target last known location. And then what's going to happen here and then from that target location, we're going to do the same exact thing that we do here. We're going to get a random reachable point, but not within 1,000. That's way too much. Let's do it within 200. because this is the melee case, what we'll do is we'll set our move to location. So we'll set our move to location. And then with that, once we do that, we should be able to go straight into set the value as vector. So let's just do that. Casey Knight, are you using PHP or what are you using? There are tons of tutorials on the web about how to do this. Okay. Maybe what we should do though is a test. If we get a good value or not. So if we find one, we'll go here. If we do not find one, then we're going to go there. We'll go here. Okay, you're using PHP. How secure does this thing have to be, Casey? Alright, so that should do it. Let's test our theory here. So the trick is we just gotta get them to the point where they're melee. So let's just go stand out here. Let them shoot all their bullets. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Once they get rid of all their bullets and they go into melee mode, we can run away. Alright, so let's run away. Run the gauntlet. Okay, we should be sufficiently far away at this point where in 15 seconds they'll give up. Look, he ran all the way over there. It looks like he gave up. Ooh, I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay, cool. So we fixed that. That's awesome. So at this point, I think we can go back to having our spawner spawn 5 characters, and we can start talking about the next thing. Casey, I'm not trying to ignore your question by any means. I'm simply, because we're trying to work on game dev stuff, I want to try to focus on that as well. Basically, you have 2 inputs, right? You have your user ID and your password. What happens is first things first, do you have a user in the database? And do you have database entries for your user IDs and your passwords? Now, if it doesn't have to be super secure, you could store your passwords in your database as they are. But you just have to understand that somebody can intercept that and grab those passwords. All right, so if you have the user in the database, then what happens is when you submit your form, you grab the form data, and with the form data, you basically get both things. You get their user ID and your password. Then you're gonna send a query to the database where you're going to select star from table user where user ID equals the user ID and password equals the password. If you get no entries back, then it means that they've mistyped their user ID and password. If you get an entry back, that means that they have entered their user ID and password correctly, and then you can let them log in. So how do you handle login? What you can do to handle login is you can set maybe like a session variable as an example. And with that session variable, what you do is so take a look at session variables. That's one way to do this. So you set a session variable called isValidLogin, and maybe you, as part, you get creative with your session variables, right? Maybe you store their user ID. So you check, and what you do is you put a secure include at the top of every page. So your secure include literally just checks that that session variable is valid and that the user ID matches. So when you hit the page, what's going to happen is your secure include is going to check the session variable, and then it's going to look at the user ID that's part of the session variable and double check that that's a valid user ID. If so, it will load the page. Otherwise, it will redirect to login, as an example. Hopefully that was a good enough explanation. Okay, quick stint of web development. All right, so let's go. So we're back to our enemies. They hang around their objectives. That's cool. We're spawning them. That's cool. Now here's the problem. If we go forward, right now there's no way for us to guarantee that the enemies that spawn at a particular spawn point are actually going to be defenders or what they're going to be, right? They're basically, we're set to have them. Do I have a melee button on this guy? I do. Wow, she's hard to kill. Okay, so we killed them all. But those are always going to spawn as defenders, because right now we've hard-coded our strategy to be defenders. So that's not going to work for us. So where we need to go is we need to go back to our strategize task. I believe is where it is. Yep. If we set this to random, the problem is now if we as we're setting up our encounters, if we want the enemies to hang around a certain position just as part of the encounter design, they're not going to do that, because they may spawn as search and destroy, they may spawn as who knows what. So we need to find a way to tell our spawn points, to give our spawn points the ability to override the strategy name. And to do that, we need to think. Oh, I know what we could do. Okay, so there's one thing we could do. We could add the idea of a strategy override on the character. And then when we come in here, if we grab it, if there is a strategy override, we could use that instead. I'm trying to decide if I like that idea. I don't know. Because what's going to happen is, in our spawner, do we get a handle to our spawned character? Yes, we do. We get a handle. That was smart. I'm glad that we did that. I wonder what this is though. Okay, so actually wait, hold on a second. Let's go back to line of sight and get rid of those print statements. We do not need those anymore. Here we go. So let's get rid of that, and then compile and save that, and then let's go back to our, actually let's compile and save this, and then in our spawn point, what I'm going to do really quickly here, I can't remember, this returns what? AI controller reference. Okay, so what we could do is we could if we are on our HWC AI controller, we could add a variable called, or we could also use tags. Which do we want to do? Let's try with a tag maybe. Maybe that'll be cool. Because then we're not putting a variable on there. So what we'll do is here we need a variable called strategy override. And it's going to be a name. Although I kind of want it to be an enum for ease of use, but for now we're not going to worry about ease of use because we only have 15 minutes left today. Yeah, this is just a select statement. Okay, so what we'll do is for strategy override, our options are center defend or search and destroy. Okay, so let's try this. After we spawn, we'll do the add, and then what we can do is we can get this value. And first let's compile this. Strategy override. Not equal none. If it's not none, then what we want to do is we want to make an array and set a tag. So we're going to make an array, and in the array we're going to put our strategy override. Alright, and then this is set the value of variable tags, array of tags that can be used for grouping and categorizing. Okay, and here we're setting tags on the pawn there. So can I set tags? Uh-oh. Set tags on this. Didn't complain about it. That's cool. So if that's true, we'll set tags. And our tag will be our strategy override. So first let's test to see if we broke anything. I'm not gonna worry about our actor location anymore. This we can move up just to clean this up. And then what we'll do is cool. So first off, nothing should change. Everything should work. We're not doing anything different. Okay. And then what we'll do in our strategize is we are going to set the strategy to defend and then tag. Actor has tag. And the tag we're looking for is strategy. Oh, interesting. This is a twofold thing, right? There's the tag. And then there's the value of the tag. Can a tag have a value? Has matching, it has any get own gameplay tag. Get tags and set tags. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's kind of... We would have to... Oh, no. I don't think that's what we want to do. Because what we're doing here is we're setting the tag. So this is not going to work. Well, wait a second. Maybe not. Let's do, well, it might work. Okay, here's how it might work. What we can do is, let's change this. Let's change this to a Boolean. Change the variable type. Oops. 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 Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect this, disconnect this. So if we're going to use a strategy override, then what we're going to do is we're going to make an array. We're going to make a tag. And that tag is going to be use strategy override. Okay, so now we're tagging it. If we want to use strategy override, we're tagging it as true. And then what we need to do is we need to, on our AI controller, we do need to have a new variable. And this is going to be strategy override. Don't know if I like the way we're doing this, but it should work for now. And this is going to be a name. We compile. The default is none. And then what we'll do on the spawn point is first we're going to tag it, and then we're going to set we need to make sure that this is instance settable. Oh, it doesn't know it's an HWZ. Bummer. Cast to H. Okay, so it doesn't know it's a one of our AI controllers. So then we can set strategy override here. And the value we're going to use, I lied. We're going to change this back to a name. Change it. And we're going to disconnect this. We'll go back to our not none, not equal to none. And the reason we're doing this is so we don't have to have two variables. We can just use one. Then what we'll do is we'll say we use the strategy override. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this here. So if it's true, we'll come here and then we'll go there. Okay. And we'll set tags, and then we'll set the strategy. I think we can get rid of this. I think what we can do is just this. Okay, and then our strategy is going to be this. All right, so theoretically, when we come in here, what's going to happen is if our strategy override is not none, then, in other words, if we have one, we're going to tag our actor that it's using strategy override, and we're going to set the strategy override. So let's compile and save that. Then what's going to happen is on our strategize task, if we have use strategy override, undo, that's not what we want. Okay, so if we have the tag use strategy override, This is an HWZ AI controller. If that's true, then we're going to get the strategy override. And we're going to set the strategy name to that. Okay. And then everything else should be the same. So if it's valid, HWZ AI controller. We should probably put a valid check in here. All right, so let's do a couple things to clean this up. And then we're gonna wrap this up and call it a morning. So is valid. So if it's valid, we're gonna, oops, undo. If it's valid, we're going to pop into here. As an example, these are all of the same lines. Let's clean this up so we don't have so many of them. All right, hopefully that'll help us. Be a little cleaner. Okay, cool. Now, so if their pawn is valid, if they have the tag, we're going to set our strategy name, and then we'll pop in here. Let's move this over to make this easier to read. Okay, and then if it's not, if we don't have the override, then we're going to set our strategy name to be a random thing. Eventually, we'll plug in this random. But for now, we're going to set it to defend. So here's what we're going to do to test this. We're going to run this and nothing should have changed. Everybody should be defenders because we're not actually using the strategy override yet. So let's compile and save this. And let's spawn. Let's go. I don't think it's a require file, KC. Is it a require? I'm trying to remember how PHP does includes. Hold on. I might have one here. Let me launch my web editor. I'll tell you in a second. Okay, so, oh, they're not defenders. They're supposed to be defenders. Something happened. Okay, what happened? We should not be... Hold on a second. Wait, we shouldn't be doing this. We should not be hitting this. Are we hitting this? Hold on, let's go. Okay, we're not hitting it. Okay, so we're not setting our strategy override, so something's broken in our strategize task. Not sure what. So let's put a breakpoint here. We'll hop in. Okay, so we're coming in here. Is it valid? Actor has tag. This should be false. It is false. So this should set them to defend. Strategy name. Strategy name. Interesting. What did we change here? So that should be defend. Defend again. Defend again. These are all defense. All of these are defense. Every single one of them. So is it just that the icon above their head is wrong? Okay, so they're gonna attack. I'm gonna back off. Okay. If they're defenders, they're gonna go back to where they came from. Once they realize they can't see me. Okay, there they go. So it's just the icons that are messed up above their heads. That is actually working. We are now able to override. Actually, no, we have not tested that yet. We haven't tested that yet. So they're defending right now. So let's change our spawn point to use, what strategy do we want? Let's use search and destroy. Hold on a second. Oh, actually we can test this easier than that. Let's do sentry, because then they'll take up formation around the spawn count. Spawn point, strategy override, should be instance editable, and expose on spawn. File and save. Let's see here. A-rig dedicated. I'm looking up your question. Dashboard. Open. It's an include. So you can see here I have an include. Again, I think there are a ton of PHP tutorials that will help you with that, Casey, but that's the way I was doing it back in my days of web development. Okay, so now we come back in here and we can do our strategy override of sentry. So when we run, we won't even have to go find them. As long as they're spawned, we'll be able to test. Okay, so they're coming in here. So they've spawned. Let's go. And we can see their sentries because they're taking up nice formations around this objective actor. That's what sentries do. Whereas defend just kind of randomly picks spots. Okay, so all of that's working. The thing that's not working that is interesting is, for some reason, when we set, if we escape out of this, if we set this back to its default of none, when we run up on these characters, all of their overhead symbols are incorrect. And that is just something that's just a bug, because I believe those work off tags. And they're all currently flagged as sentries. So what we'll have to do is, I'll do some debugging. I'll do some debugging on that in between this time and the next time. So I think what we'll do is let's go back to this and wrap this up. So All right, so today we actually made some progress. I think overall it was good. We made some progress. We've got our enemies kind of, they're a little bit closer to what we need because we'll be able to choose and pick what kind of enemies are spawning around the spawn points. And then it's just going to be a strategy of laying out the encounter. How many sentries do we have? How many search and destroy people do we have? And do all that kind of stuff. We were a little bit distracted today with some of Casey's PHP questions, which is fine, Casey, it's totally cool. But I think for future reference, what I'll do, this is always learning. I think what we'll do is maybe for something like that, we'll either just delay those to the end, and I'll try to answer some of those questions at the end. So that way the game dev stream is just succinct game dev stream. And then at the end, or at another time, I'll always help out, something like that. Because that's just not the primary focus of this stream, but I am happy to help out, and hopefully that was helpful, Casey. So next time, depending on what I'm able to get done between now and Sunday's stream, we might actually be trying to play our counter, play our overall encounter, and just see how it works. I do think that our search and destroy characters need to be a little bit smarter. We'll get into that in the next stream. So everybody who's hanging out in the wings, thanks for checking it out. I will see what I can do to figure out Twitch in the meantime, why that's not working, why we're getting black screens. Otherwise, we may have to switch just to single streamcast on YouTube, which would be a bummer. So other than that, I hope that everybody has an awesome week, and I will catch you all Sunday night. Have a good one.